welcome to today's yoga class. Today we're going to work into a peak posture, but that's an option. Even if you don't want to do the peak posture, it's a really great class. You're going to open up through your hips a little bit. We do a bit of arm stretches, so let's get into it. Oh, and let's hope Addie doesn't make too much noise during the class. Okay, so we're going to stand at the top of our mat. We're going to start with Surya Namaskar and Hatha. So Surya Namaskar means sun salutation. Normally I do sun salutation A, but today we're going to do it in Hatha, which is just a bit slower. So you're standing at the top of your mat with your feet hip width apart. Really ground down through your feet. So lift up your toes, stretch them wide, and then grab into the mat. Engage your quads by lifting your kneecaps up, almost pressing them up into your hips. Tuck your tailbone, try and engage your core. Roll your shoulders back and down. Open up through the arms. Spread your fingers wide. Reach the crown of your head tall. Breathe into this posture. Inhale, rise arms up to the sky. And exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, coming down into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Reaching the crown of your head forward. And then you're going to step your right foot back and lower it down into a low lunge. Inhale up. Exhale as you bring your hands to the mat and step your left hand back to the top of the left foot back to the top of the plank. Retain the breath as you lower down through chaturanga. Inhale into upward facing dog, coming onto the tops of your feet, rolling your shoulders back, pressing down through your feet. Tuck your toes, exhale, press back into downward facing dog. And take a breath here. Reaching down through your heels, pressing the base of your index finger into the mat, pushing out through your shoulders. As you inhale, you're going to bring your left foot forward and lower your right knee down, coming into a low lunge. Exhale, bring your hands to the mat. Step your right foot to meet your left. Lower into this forward fold here. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to your side. Inhale, rise arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. Your knees can be slightly bent or straight. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your left foot back, lower your left knee down, coming into a low lunge here. Rise arms up. Exhale, bring hands to the mat. Step your right foot back to meet your left. Retain the breath as you lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Pressing down through the tops of the feet. Or you can have your upper thighs on the mat too for cobra here. Tuck your toes, exhale, press back into downward facing dog. Adjust the stance, press out through the shoulders, keeping your arms straight. You can have a slight bend in your knees if you want. Inhale as you bring your right foot forward, left knee down to this low lunge here. Exhale, hands to the mat, tuck toes, step your left foot back to meet your right, coming into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to your side. So that was one round of Surya Namaskar and Hatha. We'll do one more round a little bit faster. Inhale, rise up, and exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, right foot back, knee down, low lunge. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat, step your left foot back to meet your right. Top of the plank, shift forward, down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck toes, exhale, press back down dog. One breath here. Inhale, right foot forward, left knee down. Come up to the low lunge. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step your left foot back to meet your right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, left foot back. Lower knee down into that low lunge. Rise arms up. Exhale, place your hands on the mat. Step your right foot back to meet your left. Shift forward and down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck toes. Exhale, press back into downward facing dog. Take one cleansing breath here. Inhale, left foot forward, right knee down, low lunge. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step your right foot to meet your left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing, and exhale, hands to your heart center. Close down the eyes, catch the breath. Check in with your stance, tucking that tailbone, shoulders back, crown of your head tall, and we'll continue to flow. Inhale, rise arms up towards the sky, and exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, your gaze is forward, and exhale, plant into the hands, step or hop back to the top of the plank position. From here, you're going to shift your weight forward, shoulders coming in front of the fingertips, and then lower down through chaturanga, keeping your elbows sink into your waist, or you can do knees, chest, chin. Inhale, coming up into upward facing dog, pressing down through the tops of your feet, and then tuck your toes. Exhale, press back into down dog. Pressing out through your shoulders, reaching your tailbone towards the sky. Inhale as you bring your right foot forward, stepping it between your hands at the top of the mat. Lower down your left knee, and inhale up into this low lunge. I like to sit back my hips a little bit, and then sink them forward into the lunge. Try and keep your knees stacked on top of your ankle, and wrap your right hip slightly back and your left hip forward. So instead of being at a diagonal, your hips are in one parallel line. Exhale as you sit your hips back towards your left heel, peeling your right toes off the mat. And then bring your hands to the mat kind of around your calf into half splits. So your forehead can be leaning in towards your shin. Your right toes are flexed and pointing back towards your face. That's going to give you a deeper stretch in the back of your calf. You can sit your hips back further towards your heels or keep them stacked above your knee. Take one more breath here. On your inhale, you're going to press your weight forward again, like you're coming into that low lunge, but then pivot your left foot so it's coming out at a 90-degree angle, and sit up and then sink into the hips here. So it's kind of a modified low lunge / frog posture. Your left knee is at 90 degrees to, or your left calf is at 90 degrees to your right calf. Sink into the hips here. You can maybe pull back and sink in, pull back, straightening that right leg, and sink in, bending the right leg. We'll do one more, pull back, straightening, sink in, and then we're going to pull back and keep it straight, coming into gate pose now. You can maybe walk your right foot out a bit farther. Inhale, rise arms up, stretching out through the waist, through the body. And then exhale, bring your left hand down to the mat beside you, or you can bring it onto a block. Reaching up through your right hand. And maybe if you want a bit more side stretch, reaching your right hand out in front of your head, away from your right leg. So you're really stretching and pulling your right hand as far away from your right leg as you can, while also pushing up through your side body, like there's a fire underneath your waist and you're trying to press away from it. One more breath here. On your next exhale, you're going to bring your right hand towards your right foot, swinging up your left hand towards the sky, reaching tall, almost like your hand's being pulled up towards the sky. stretching through your left side body here. On your next exhale, swing your left hand towards the front of the mat, bend slightly through your right foot, pivot your left foot back to where it was in that low or half splits. Place your right hand down, step your right foot back, coming into a tabletop, tuck toes, press back into downward facing dog. Take one breath here. On your next inhale, step your left foot forward towards the top of the mat and lower down your right knee. I like to untuck my right toes. Inhale up into your low lunge, sit the hips up a little bit, and then sink down into the hips. You don't want to completely relax through your muscles. You still want to hold yourself in there so you're keeping activation in your muscles as you stretch. Wrap your left hip slightly back. That'll help you stretch through the front of your right hip more. And keep your left knee above your left ankle. You can maybe take a few bounces if you want to see how deep you can get into the posture. Inhale to go up and exhale to sink lower. On your next inhale, pull your hips back towards your right heel, straightening your left foot, and then peeling your left toes towards your forehead. Place your hands down around your shin and let your forehead hang heavy, coming into this half splits here. Focusing your breath on whatever points of your body feel the stretch. This doesn't actually really physically do anything, but it allows you to focus more on what's actually stretching and just give more space into it. So right now I'm focusing my breath on the back of my hamstring. And as you do this, when you exhale, it allows you to go deeper into the posture, into the stretch. Inhale as you straight or bend into your left knee again. Pivot the right ankle and sit up, coming into that side lunge. Again, you can, or it's like a side frog lunge. You can bounce, so bending through your left knee and then straightening your left leg. Try to keep your hips in line with the long edge of the mat, so you're not squaring them off like this. You're keeping them in one line. This will really help you stretch into your inner thigh here. So exhale to sink in. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to sink in. Inhale to straighten. We'll do one more. So exhale to sink in. And then inhale, straighten into your gate pose. Rise arms up to the sky. And then exhale, bring your right hand down to the mat beside you. Your left hand can be reaching up tall, or it can bring overhead for a bit more of a side body stretch. And again, you can have your hand on the ground, or you can have it on a block. If you are trying to force yourself to reach the ground and you find your body collapsing in, so your chest is facing the ground, that's when you want to get a block, because that'll help you keep your chest open and reaching up. You want your body to kind of be in one parallel line. For your next exhale, bring your left hand to meet your left ankle as you reach your right hand towards the sky, and then pull up through your right hand. So it's like somebody's grabbing your hand and pulling it up towards the sky, really stretching into your right side body now. Stretching up and out. Take one more breath here. And then as you exhale, bring your right hand towards the front of your mat where your right foot would go. Bring your left hand down, pivot on your right knee, step your left foot back to meet your right, coming into tabletop. Tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. we'll take one vinyasa. So inhale, roll forward to the top of a plank. And then exhale, lower down for chaturanga. Or you can take that knees, chest, chin. Inhale into your upward facing dog. Pressing down through the feet, rolling your shoulders back, reaching the crown of your head tall. Tuck toes and exhale, press back into downward facing dog. Take one breath. And then you're gonna lower onto your knees. Sit your hips back to your ankles and sink into child's pose here. But we're not quite gonna do a child's pose. We're going to bring our hands together so they're almost in a prayer position at the top of our head. And pull your hands back to meet your head and sink your chest down towards your knees. So we're in a child's pose, but we're stretching through the shoulders a little bit by keeping the hands up high. If you have a block, you can put it underneath your shoulders to get a bit deeper. So you can put your elbows on a block and sink in deeper, or you can just stay here. Your hands are pressing into each other like in a prayer pose. One more breath here. Inhale as you release your hands and come up into a tabletop, keeping your hands beneath your shoulders, your feet hip width apart, your knees hip width apart, sorry. Inhale, rise your right arm towards the sky, stretching it tall. And then as you exhale, we're gonna thread the needle. So bring your right hand between that rectangle that your left arm and left leg makes. Drop your right shoulder down to the mat, drop your right ear, and stretch here into the back of the shoulders. There's always the option to take your left hand off the mat and bring it back to your back or to your right thigh, or keep it on the mat. If you keep it on the mat, you can almost press down through your left fingers, and this action should go deeper into the right shoulder blade. Take one more breath here. Then inhale, press into your left hand, and bring your right hand back into tabletop. Inhale it back up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring your right hand back towards your right ankle. You can tuck your toes to make your ankle a bit more accessible. We're coming into a camel variation here. So your left hand is reaching towards the sky. Your hips are stacked above your knees. And your right hand is on your right ankle. Exhale, swing your left hand back to the mat, right hand down, coming back into that tabletop. And then inhale your left hand towards the sky, setting up for thread the needle on the left. So reaching it tall, and then exhale, bring your left hand through the rectangle of your right limbs, lower your left shoulder down, left ear, and then sink into this thread the needle, releasing through the back of your shoulder blade. You can bring your right hand behind you for a little bit of a bind, or keep it on the mat and press down through the fingers, which will help you really release into your shoulder blade a little bit more. Inhale, pressing through your right hand, coming back into tabletop. Readjust, and then bring your left hand back towards the sky. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up so they're stacked above your knees. Bring your left hand to your left ankle, right hand towards the sky, coming into a camel modification on your left side. So with your right hand, you're trying to lift your body up. So you're not collapsing into your lower back to get into this stretch. You're lifting up and letting the stretch come equally through your whole spine. should feel some warming sensations in your lower back here. One more breath. And then exhale, bring your right hand back towards the mat, swing your left hand down, coming into tabletop, lift your hips up, downward facing dog. We'll take one vinyasa. So lifting, pressing out through your heels, pressing through your toes, rolling your body forwards to the top of the plank position. And then exhale, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, pressing down through the tops of your feet. And then tuck toes, exhale, press back into downward facing dog. Inhale as you bring your right foot towards the top of the mat, setting up for high lunge. So inhale up into a lunge, and then sink into the hips a little bit. Wrap your right hip back, left hip forward. Check in that your right knee is above your right ankle. And kind of stay on the ball of your left foot, so your heel is stacked above the ball of your left foot. Take one more breath here. And then inhale as you lift your body up and straighten through your right leg. Pivot your left ankle so it is making a T with your heel of your right foot. Bring your arms out long. Pull your right hand towards the front of the room. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, bringing your right hand to your right shin, left hand towards the sky, coming into triangle pose. So check in with your alignment here. Make sure that your chest is again not facing the floor. You want your chest to be up and open and kind of parallel with the wall in front of you. So to do this, you can pull up through your left hand, and it should elongate through your chest. Take one more breath here. And then you're going to bend your right knee. And as you do this, pull your left hand towards your left shin. Reach your right hand towards the sky, coming back into reverse warrior. So your right knee is bent at 90 degrees. And your right hand is pulling up towards the sky. You can have your hand resting on your left shin, or for more of a core workout and like more engaging into the core, let your left hand hover and let your ribs and your obliques hold you up. On your next exhale, bring your right hand and right elbow towards your right knee, pulling up through your left hand towards the sky again, into extended side angle. If you want more stretching into your left side body, bring your left hand overhead so it's reaching towards the front of your mat. And again, open up the chest, roll your left shoulder back. Don't collapse down. With your next exhale, you're going to bring your left hand down towards the mat, squaring out the hips, coming onto the ball of your left foot. Bring your right hand out towards the sky, and now your chest is facing your right thigh. So you're coming into a reverse side angle. If you want, you can have your hand on a block, or on your fingertips, or on your palm. Pulling up through your right hand. And then we're going to pivot onto the side, the outer pinky edge of your left foot, and then see if you can step your right foot back to meet your left, coming into a side plank here. There's many options. You can have your feet stacked, staggered. You can have your your left knee down, or you can have one leg coming towards the sky, whichever version of side plank you would like. Trying to keep your shoulders stacked on top of your left wrist and your right hand reaching towards the sky. On your next exhale, bring your right hand towards the mat, coming back to the top of the plank position, Shift forward. Exhale down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck toes. Exhale, press back into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths to reset here. Pressing out through the shoulders, lifting the tailbone towards the sky. Drawing your belly in towards the back of your spine. On your next inhale, bring your left knee forwards and towards the top of the mat. Coming into a high lunge on the left. Sit up in the hips and then sink down. Try and wrap your left hip back, right hip forward, roll your shoulders back, engage through the belly, lifting up through the chest, and then sinking down into the hips. For more leg activation, pull your legs towards each other like you're trying to scrunch the mat up beneath you. Inhale, straighten through your left leg. Pivot onto the side of your right. Reach your arms out long. Pull your left hand towards the front of the mat, and then hinge at the hips, coming into triangle pose. Reaching your right hand towards the sky, and your left hand is on your shin. Rotate your right shoulder slightly back so your chest is open towards the wall. You can even bring your hand to your hip, your right hip, and kind of pull your right hip and your right shoulder back at the same time, just to make sure you're staying very open. Your head can be gazing up at your hand or down at the ground, whatever is easier on your neck. You don't want to strain your neck here. Really feel that opening through your right side body. And then inhale, you're going to bend your left knee. And as you do, swing your right hand back to meet your right ankle, left hand towards the sky, coming into reverse warrior here. So your left knee is bent at 90 degrees, your right leg is still straight, and your left hand is reaching up towards the sky. Trying to stay open through the chest, opening through the hips and sinking down. Again, you can bring your right hand off of your right shin if you want to activate the waist a little bit more. Exhale as you bring your left hand down, and your left elbow will sit on top of your left thigh. Right arm comes towards the sky or swings overhead, stretching long towards the front of the room into extended side angle. So really feel the opening from the lower part of your right hip all the way up through your arm to your right fingertips. Pull your arm as far as you can, either towards the sky or towards the front of the room. Take one more breath here. And then as you exhale, we're going to bring our right hand down to the mat, pivoting onto the ball of our right foot. And then you're going to open up through the chest on the left side. So lifting your left hand towards the sky and paralleling your chest towards your left thigh. Coming into a revolved side angle here. Again, you can have your hand on the mat, or you can bring it onto a block. Reaching tall through your left hand. And then you're going to pivot onto the outer side, so the pinky side of your right foot. Step your left foot back to meet your right, coming into a side plank here. Lifting up and out, pressing down through your right hand and extending up through your left hand. the options, so you can have your feet staggered, stacked, one knee down, or you can come up into a one-legged side plank. We'll just stay here for one more breath. And on your next exhale, bring your left hand towards the mat, pivoting into a regular high plank. Shift forward, exhale down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Maybe wiggle the hips from side to side just to release into the lower back a little bit more. And then exhale, press back into downward facing dog. We'll stay here for one breath. Then we'll do a few spinal rolls. So in a spinal roll, you like to lift up through your heels, pressing down through the balls of your feet, and letting that motion kind of extend through your legs, through your waist, pressing out through your shoulders as you come to a high plank, and then dropping your belly, lifting your hips back up to the sky. You can have a bend in your knees as you sink your hips back into a downward facing dog. So on the inhale, you roll to a plank, and then on an exhale, you press back into a down dog. So inhale, press through your feet, roll forward, coming all through your spine, up of a plank, and then exhale, press back. You can keep your knees as bent as you'd like, or keep them straight. It really doesn't matter. It's all about feeling the sensation in your body and feeling what feels good for you. We'll do one more. Inhale, roll forward, and exhale, press back. From here, you're going to inhale, bend your knees, look forward at the top of the mat, and then exhale, press or hop or stand, step to the top of the mat. Inhale to a halfway lift, and then exhale, come into a forward fold. Reach your tailbone towards the sky, let your head hang heavy here. Just enjoy this, relax for a second, maybe take your hands and grab opposite elbows, just to put a little bit more weight into hanging here. Reach your tailbone towards the sky. You can have a slight bend in your knees. Maybe swing your upper body from side to side, really trying to release through the spine. Release your hands back onto the mat. Inhale as you flex through your right foot and kick it back, so you're making an L with your feet or your legs. Then press up through your left foot, lift your chest up, coming into warrior one. So your body is making a T. Your right heel is flexed and pulling back towards the back end of your mat, and the crown of your head is reaching forwards towards the front end of the mat. Check in with the hips. Make sure they're parallel to the ground. So we have a tendency to lift up on our right hip. So just bring it back down, grounding through the left foot here. We're going to flow into dancer. So as you exhale, kick your right heel towards your butt as you kind of bend through your left and step up your body. So you're standing now with your right heel flexed towards your right butt cheek. Bring your right hand, grab the back side of your ankle, and then press your ankle into your hand, kind of pulling away as you lower your chest slightly into dancer pose. Your left hand can come overhead. This action of kicking your foot into your hand will help you find balance, because it brings that center of gravity back. Inhale as you draw your right knee back in towards your chest. Come up to standing, and then flex your right foot and stack it on top of your left thigh, coming into about a figure four kind of position. If you can't reach that, you can just bring it towards your left ankle. Then either wherever you are, we're going to sink the hips back and down, coming into a figure four chair. So here we can stay here, or this is where we have the option to go into flying pigeon. So if you have your shin on your thigh. You can bring your hands down towards the mat. So you want your hands to be shoulder width apart. You can bend through your left knee so that you can reach your hands down here. And then you want to set up a shelf with the biceps and the backs of your arms. And on that shelf, you want to place your right shin. So on your right bicep is kind of just below your right knee. And on your left, you're hooking your left ankle onto the back of your right shin. I'm sorry, your left. And then here, I like to slide my right foot kind of all the way into my waist. And as I do that, I'm pressing down through my hands, and this allows me to take my left foot off the mat and kick it out long behind me. So here, we're into our flying pigeon. Inhale, pull your knee in, and press back up into that figure four pose. I'm not sure if that was well explained, but just sink here in the forward fold, figure four, and then release your right foot down. Reach your hips kind of back, and your hands are out long in front of you. And then, or you can keep a bend in your knees as well. And then see if you can flip your hands so your they're kind of in line with your ankles, and your fingertips are facing behind you. You can keep the bend in your knees. You don't need to have your legs straight. And then see just if you can walk your hands slightly back, sink your weight into your heels a little bit more, lift your toes off the mat. See how far back you can go. This actually takes a lot of core strength to do, so not only do you need, it helps work on your flexibility, but it also works on your core strength of compressing your thighs to your waist. And it also presses out through your hands. Exhale, release, coming back into a forward fold. Bring your hands heavy. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold again. Press your hands into the mat. Kick your left foot out behind you, coming into warrior three on your left side. So inhale your waist up, your chest up. Now you're making a T with your body. I like to have my hands in prayer at my heart. If you want more, you can bring your hands out long ahead of you. I'm feeling quite wobbly today, so I'm going to keep them in at my chest. Flexing through your left heel. Rotating your left hip slightly down so your hips are parallel with the ground. Taking one more breath here. And then as you exhale, kick your left heel towards your left butt as you lift up through your right foot. Grab your left ankle with your left hand, and then hinge at the hips so your chest is dropping slightly down as your hand and heel come up towards the sky, coming into your dancer pose. Remember, pulling your foot and your hand into each other will help you find balance here. I also like to focus on one piece of the ground that's staying stable. Inhale, straighten up. Bring your left knee in towards your chest. And then bend it at 90 degrees, flexing through your left ankle, and place it on the top of your right thigh. Or you can keep it on your right shin if you don't have mobility yet to bring it up high. All versions of the pose are good. It doesn't matter where you are, it's more so how it feels. Okay, so now we're going to sink down on the hips with that figure four and place our hands on the mat. We're going to set up for the flying pigeon. So your hands are at they're underneath your shoulders, making a shelf with the back of your biceps. and then hook your left foot on the back of your right arm. And then your left arm goes to just slightly below your right knee. And then shift your chest forward as you slowly lower off or lift off of your left foot. So you can stay here. You don't need to extend that foot out. It's actually a lot easier when you keep your body compact to lift up, because then you're just focusing on the lifting, not the balance that comes with the extension. Also, try and keep your legs activated. If you don't keep the activation through your legs, it's almost like you're lifting up a dead weight body. Like if you're lifting up somebody who's passed out, I guess, it's a lot heavier than somebody who's aware and active. So keep that in with your body. So when you're trying to do arm balances, if you keep activation through your legs and like flex your muscles, it'll help you feel lighter. So from that flying pigeon, you're just going to sit back onto your little toe stand and then press up, straighten your right leg, coming into a forward fold with figure four legs. Release the foot, exhale to a fold, inhale into a halfway lift, and then plant your hands, step back to the top of the plank. Shift down to chaturanga, inhale, upward facing dog, tuck toes, exhale, press back into down dog. Take one nice long exhale just to release it all. Then you're going to bend your knees, look forward, and we're going to hop to our butt. So jump forward, lower down onto your butt, and bring your legs out in front of you. We're going to go into bridge just to release through the back a little bit more. So your feet are hip width apart, and slowly just roll down your spine all the way to the mat. Step your feet in slightly so your ankles are reaching your fingertips, and then press down through your hands, press down through your heels as you lift your butt up towards the sky, drawing your inner thighs in towards each other to keep activation in your legs. From here, see if you can grab your hands together, so clasping your hands. And with that, walk your shoulders underneath your body a little bit. This should give you a nice shoulder stretch, but also allows you to stretch deeper into the hips. Lifting your hips up, pressing down through your feet. See if you can hover your right foot out. Long, keeping your right foot flexed. Pressing down through your left foot. Exhale, release it back to the mat. Hover your left foot out long, pressing down through your right. Exhale, release it down. Unwrap your hands and slowly roll your spine back down, starting at the top and ending with your tailbone. Reach your legs out long. Reach your hands out tall in front of you. And then stretch from your toes all the way through your spine to your fingers. Exhale, come into Shavasana. So bring your hands back down by your side, letting your hands fall out, palms open towards the sky, shoulders relaxed, letting your ankles fall to the side. Breathing here. Noticing any sensations. Any muscles you feel activated. Especially taking note to what feels good and what kind of feels like you missed it or it wants to be activated more, or maybe it feels like it did a bit too much. I'm teaching these yoga classes, but your body is your main teacher. So take these last minutes to really listen to what your body is telling you. If it liked the class, if there's things it wants more of. And if there are, feel free to do that. If your shoulders want a little bit more of a stretch, give them a bit more of a stretch. The main benefit of yoga, in my mind, actually no, there's quite a few, but is being able to listen to your body and become more in tune with yourself. So hopefully these classes help you achieve that goal and also help bring a bit of peace and mindfulness to your days. Stay here in Shavasana as long as you want, just focusing on your breath and your body. Thank you for practicing with me. Have a lovely rest of your day.